It's pretty obvious that after you add a lift kit and wheels and tires to a Jeep Wrangler or Gladiator, these things get quite enormous. We decided we wanted to add a little bit better of a way for us to get in and out of this Gladiator after we lifted it, and let's be real, the factory grab handles on the inside of the pillar here just aren't really designed that well to give you the leverage to pick it up. We searched for a while and actually found these GPCA 2024 and newer curtain airbag compatible grab handles. They're offered in a ton of cool colors. We have them onto the front, and these are going to be an easy way to get in and out of the Jeep, and then when you don't want to use them, you can simply tuck them up and out of the way. But that's just one of many crucial mods that you might want after you lift your Jeep Wrangler or Gladiator. Today's video is all about lifted Jeep mods, and if you guys want to have a chance at winning your very own Clayton Off-Road Overland Plus suspension system, now through October 31st, 2025, we have the giveaway going on our website. We've also added Distinction Applied products onto our website. We've been working with these guys forever, and we figured it was about time we started carrying some of their parts. See the official rules on our website. No purchase is necessary, but maybe check it out because you might have your very own chance to get a Clayton Off-Road suspension system so your Jeep can look like this. If you're adding on a larger set of wheels and tires, particularly when you poke them out further, you will get some tire poke past the fender here. Now, if you guys look at a factory Extreme Recon Jeep Wrangler, you'll notice those little plastic extensions go on the fender flare there, and that's to make sure it meets DOT requirements on the factory size tire with that. Now, I'm not going to say that what we're adding on next is going to make sure it meets all the legal requirements, but one thing it will do is help give you a little bit more tire coverage, prevent some of that debris from flying up, and also, in our opinion, just looks very, very nice. Now, on the Gladiator, they never made an Extreme Recon, and I've seen a lot of people buy the Mopar Extreme Recon Fender Extensions, buy two sets of fronts and kind of finagle one in the rear. We actually found a company on Amazon that makes the Extreme Recon style extensions for both the low fender like this and the high Rubicon fender. We're gonna get them installed here. All you have to do is drill out a couple rivets, and they include brand new rivets, but I think it's gonna give a nice little look here, Ryan, and we're only poking out maybe 1.5 inches. So I'd like to see the before and after and see if it covers it up really nicely. I'm very thoroughly impressed. Even the little bit of kind of texturing on this is very similar to the factory texturing. All we have to do is drill out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plastic rivets and then install the new included rivets. One little caveat is I didn't order the right rivet gun. There's a plastic rivet gun, and long story short, I'm using kind of a box wrench and a pliers to pull that, but these are only plastic rivets, so we don't need a ton of tension like a metal rivet. But let's get these 5 drilled out and we'll show you what they look like, because we did it on the driver's side, and cat's out of the bag, it looks fantastic. So let's drill these out and put them on. So we're gonna drill out 5 of them. Basically what I like to do is just kind of line it up where it would sit and then drill out only the ones that you need to drill out. So you're just kind of looking for speed on this. Give it a little bit of tension and then it'll pull out, and you'll pop this off and then keep doing it to the other 5. I think Mopar's, these were like 70 bucks, guys, and I want to say Mopar is like up into the $100 range, but I don't think they come with rivets. Correct me if I'm wrong, but these actually came with rivets too, which I was pretty impressed with, and they seem to be working pretty well. So after we got all 5 of those out, I'm just gonna wipe this off with a little bit of a cloth, that way it's cleaned underneath, and then we'll get this on. All right, so this is not the way to install a plastic rivet, but I don't have the right tool. So basically what I'm doing is I'm pushing the rivet through both of these, using a small 3/8 box wrench to hold the base of the rivet, and then using a pair of pliers to pull this out. So it takes a little bit of force, but they're only plastic rivets. If these were metal rivets, there'd be no way. But I was doing on the other side, I was doing the front first and then the back. Now, if you had a rivet gun, these would automatically be snipped off with the rivet gun, but in our case, we don't. So, just using a flush cutter, trim these off, and there you have it. Extreme Recon extensions for the Gladiator. We'll do the front now, which front's pretty self-explanatory. Exact same process like this, just a little bit different of the location. And yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Ryan? I think they look good. I think this is a good one. I think especially if you get, they never did an XR Gladiator. I just think it does look, people were like, those extensions don't look good when it first came out, and then now you can tell if it's an XR if you see these, so I think it's pretty cool. All right, guys, well, Ryan's going to show you a clip of the before and after with the Extreme Recon style extensions on the Gladiator. Personally, I really do enjoy the look of this if you're keeping the factory fenders and the inner liners. The fact that they made them for the low fender flares front and rear and specifically molded for the Gladiator is just the icing on top of this. Now, this is not only going to give you a little bit more coverage in case you're in a state that does require the tires to be covered, but it's also going to give you a little bit more management when it comes to the debris flying up. A lot of folks that live down washout roads, they live down all sorts of really gravel roads, you want as much tire coverage as you can because they'll just fly up and it'll start hitting your hinges and hitting everything else that you got going on. So these will give you that, and honestly the install is about 10 minutes. We'll link down below an actual like plastic rivet gun because they're like $6. We just didn't have it, and we're filming, and I don't really feel like running to the store right now. So we made it work, but really you should use a plastic rivet gun. This is a cool one. Let's move on to the next mod. To help you get in and out of your Jeep after it's lifted, you can do a lot of different things when it comes to steps. Now, a few months ago, we installed these in one of our first mods for the Gladiator video, and honestly, it's a few months later, and they've been holding up very well for our use. These were less than 200 bucks, and they're extremely stout. These things, I mean, like, don't mind the clicking, it's just a little, there's a connector in the taillight that's doing that. But anyways, holding up very well, less than 200 bucks when we bought them. The only thing I would say that we'd recommend is the little, they're like the black bolts that go underneath here, they're starting to rust already. So I would say that unless you like either paint those or grab a couple pieces of new hardware, these things will probably be fantastic for a long time. But we're really liking this style. It looks like the factory Rubicon rail, and I would say it makes it a heck of a lot easier for you and your passengers to get in and out. So we're out in the 41, and that's because the next one that we want to show is already installed in this, but it's crucial after you lift your Jeep, not just after you lift it, but add bigger wheels and specifically the tire size. So we've installed a Tazer Mini onto our JL41. We have it in Ryan's Jeep. We have it in basically all the rigs. We're waiting on it to show up for the Gladiator. But what that allows you to do is not only just change features and functionality of your Jeep when you swap headlights to LED, when you swap different functionalities that are going on in your computer, the biggest thing for us is it allows you to change your tire size. Back in the day, if you guys are YJ or TJ guys, you can remember that actually you had to swap out the speedometer gear inside the transfer case for what gearing you went to, and not only that, for what size tire that you had. So here you go, guys. You can see I'm adjusting the tire size. I keep ours at 34.26 on the two-door. That's about the actual size, and this is what's important because it allows your computer to know how big of a tire you're running. Basically, when you go up in size and your computer still thinks that it's the smaller tire, as your tire is rotating slower than the factory size small one, it thinks you're going slower. So Ryan was on the highway. It showed about 8 to 10 miles an hour slower than what he was actually going through GPS on the Google Maps. So it's very important for you to fix this, or else everything gets thrown off. Your mile per gallon, your fuel consumption, and then especially your actual speed. So pretty important there, but yeah, kind of neat to see. You can go through gear ratio, you can change that for low, and we can really change a lot of different settings in here. So I would say the Tazer is pretty much crucial if you put on bigger tires. Watch me as I try and lower this down. I gotta like go on my tiptoes, put this prop rod back down. But so here's the problem when you go to pick it up, is I normally do one of these jobs where I grab the prop rod and push and then do this. Ultimately, that's not extremely safe when you're doing that. There's nothing holding it besides your hand. That slips, this whole thing's coming down. And this steel 392 style hood on this one is very heavy. So a lot of folks have been asking, let's actually show the Redline tuning install. So let's show it on this one. So 10mm bolt up here by the firewall is what we need to remove in order to set the left-hand side bracket. You can see there's a 20, I think it says 28, that's the left-hand side bracket. So let's grab our 10mm, pull this off. It's funny, you can actually see exactly how they painted it because all these bolts were already installed. And then it gets painted. Drop this bracket right into place like so. Line up your bolt back into it. And then we're going to tighten this back down. So this one was designed for a 392 hood, a Mojave hood, and then obviously a dark sky hood. These have more weight than the factory ones. So we're getting this on there just because it is a lot more weight than what we had on a stock sport hood. But on a 392, there's actually little instructions that say there's a notch out right here, and I remember on mine, there's a metal bracket, you have to notch that out so that way the strut can come down. But on ours, we do not have that. So we're just gonna get these mounted up, and then we'll show you the other bracket. you just pull this down and slides right into here. So this bracket, I was just telling Ryan off camera, is extremely important. You've got a back piece or a back plate that will actually slide down into this hole right here. The very important thing to remember is that if you loosen this bolt out as well, this can slide down and get stuck in your hood. So don't do that. Watch proceeds to do just that. So this is gonna go basically slide in like so, and you want that bracket to sit in there. So then we're gonna snug this one up. Just snug it up so we can maybe move that top one. There we go. And then we're lining the top bolt up into the threads that are on that back plate. There we go. So there we go, we got it snugged up. And now we can tighten this up with a 10mm. And that back plate's really neat because that's just making sure that this is retained there. And it doesn't require any permanent modifications, which I think is really cool. And then that little rubber seal, you can either choose to cut it or it just kind of sits there, no problem. So the actual shaft side of the hood strut will go down on the bottom bracket and just push on. Like so. If you want to pull it off, you can actually push this red piece down. It'll lift the retainer up and you can pop it off. And then the body side will go up here. So this one will go on, and then we're going to go over and do the passenger side in the same way. It does help if you have that prop rod released that this will go right on. So let's go over and do the passenger side and we'll give it a shot. All right, now you saw the before. Actually, it's raring to go. See that, Ryan? Pop that, give it just a little bit. I don't know about you, but that's a lot easier.
That's so much nicer.
And now you have nothing here too, so if you actually are somewhere, something goes on in the engine bay, you're changing the oil, and you have that hood prop rod here, you don't have that in the way anymore either. And knowing that if you bump it, the whole hood can come down, you've now got two struts to hold it up. So what's that, about a 5-minute install and a 10mm socket? They make them for all sorts of model Jeeps, and yeah, I think that's a good one. After you lift a truck especially, it becomes really hard to grab all the contents up at the front. You guys, you've owned trucks, you know it. Everything slides up there. You gotta either climb in, screw around, jump around in this thing, especially when it's raining and it's snowy out, it's really nasty. This piece comes from a company called Lovita. Lovita. And this is from Amazon, of course, but what it is, it's an extendable reaching pole that you can grab things up front like that. And then it also comes with magnets on it. So these two mounts, and honestly on the Gladiator, like, you drop it like right there. Let's see if it stays there, Ryan. No, it doesn't stay there. But there's other places you could probably stick it to. That was funny, that was really funny. Let's try right here. Yeah, somewhere like that. And then you could just reach in here, grab it. These are almost like telescoping poles like you'd find on a tripod. Put it out, and now look at that, Ryan. I don't even have to, oh, can you grab me that? Can you, here, grab me that without using this. Like there's no,
Yeah.
and you grab this. Look at that. Easily grab the stuff. I wouldn't consider this like a mod per se, but this is just something to make the overall driving experience, I would say specifically of a Gladiator, a little bit more realistic. You guys can grill us in the comments about this.
Livin' La Vida Loca.
Livin' La Vida Loca. So option A is to like flip the tonneau cover up, screw all around. Option B is and which do you want to do when you're tailgating, when your wife's yelling at you to get the stuff out of the truck? You want to climb in there, slip all over this? I don't think so. So I'm going to go with option B, Ryan. I think the Lovita. Plus, it's actually, you could like store stuff back there too. Feels like I'm like, it kind of feels like I'm about to like grab a snake with this though, not going to lie. Look at that. Which is easier?
B.
Option B, and it makes you look cooler too. So, I don't know, for 30 bucks, I feel like it's not gonna get used that hard, but like, when you're on a, you guys know, you go on a camping trip and this truck is like loaded with stuff, easily be able to grab some stuff. I think it's pretty cool. So after you put a lift kit, bigger wheels and tires onto your Jeep Wrangler or Gladiator, you might notice that the steering is a little bit softer both on the highway and on just back roads. The biggest thing is that most roads actually have a curvature to them. So if you're on a back road, they actually do curve or slope downwards. So that way when it rains, the water goes towards the edge of the road. The problem with bigger tires, when they get wider, they start to follow that curvature. So you might notice your steering kind of pulling you towards the berm, pulling you different ways. And the reason being is that you have wider tires and they're more susceptible to being pulled around. One solution or potential solution, not to death wobble, that's a way different problem, is to actually add on a performance steering stabilizer. So we picked ours up from Fox here. We've done a lot of different stabilizers, and in reality, I kind of chose this one. This is a non-adjustable one, but it matches with the 2.0 shocks that we have on there. So you can get what the Terraflex, the Nexus has one. This is a through shaft design, which what's really cool about this shock is that if I push this down, see how the shaft actually goes through the entire body. Now, why that's important is a lot of the times back in the day, they used to just give you a standard shock up front, but shocks have both rebound and compression, and basically it would give you more resistance one way and then help you steer the other way. So a through shaft is giving it even both ways and is very important to what we're trying to go for. Now, this includes the bracketry here. The one thing I'm concerned about is that I know on like the 24s and 25s, the one lower bolt to put this on is different. So we'll see. Maybe they include that bolt for a reason there, but we'll see here if this all works. If not, we're gonna steal parts off of Dad's Jeep. All right, so we removed the factory steering stabilizer. While that's going to be great for a factory setup, something like this Fox Performance is just going to give you more resistance while you're steering. And why that's important is, like I just mentioned, for the wandering that's on the road, and then just to give you more stability when you are turning and in those highway and those higher speed situations. It's funny too, when we pull this off, this just kept spinning. So the retainer nut or the flag nut on the back here would just spin over this. So I might have hit it too hard with the impact, but I can push it by hand. We don't need any of this. And what's really curious is on a 24 and newer, this is the style bolt that goes on to the axle side. So it's really interesting because look at how big that head is there, or the actual standoff from the carriage bolt. And this is a 2-layer design. So really interesting there. Fox includes a bolt, and then they also say you can reuse this bolt over on the axle side. I'd have to read the instructions again, but they include a perfect bolt for that side. So we're just gonna use it. I do like the carriage bolt style design because once that sits into the actual bracket, you don't have to worry about the head or the top of this spinning. Which I always thought was like a cool tip is like you always want bolts to be like drop down into something. So like see how this bolt drops down into here? So the reason being, like the reason that this drops down, and obviously of course like it's designed like that, but if this nut were to ever come off and fall off, at least the bolt stays. So if you put it up through that way, it's like a racing trick. You know, you never put a bolt fighting gravity. All right, so while this isn't like something you're gonna be able to show on camera how well it works, you'll be able to notice the difference when you're on back roads, when you're on the highway. The front end will just feel more, I don't know, it'll feel more robust. It normally feels just like more controllable. That's the biggest thing. That's factory steering stabilizer is designed for like 31-inch tires with highway tread. It's not designed for 37s. So adding on something that's a little bit more for performance is definitely going to increase the ride quality, especially when we're on the highway, when we're driving around these roads, especially in PA roads, there's a lot of potholes. So it'll kind of absorb that. The reason it's called a stabilizer is to stabilize the steering so it's not just jamming back and forth. So we'll notice that as soon as we get it out and take it for a cruise. Oh guys, today has been a very fun video. When we thought of this idea, it's honestly because of all the other people that you have jumping in and out of your Jeep. You guys know as well as we do, you got your wife, you got your husband, the kids jumping in and out, maybe your family, your in-laws. You want to make this thing not only comfortable for you to drive, like we added some stabilizers, some other creature comforts in this thing, but also make your passengers be able to get in and out of your lifted Jeep a whole lot better. There's some things when it comes to the exterior as well. We added on these extensions to give you some more tire coverage, make it look a little bit cleaner too, and then as well as prevent some of that road debris from flying up, and especially when you have the doors off and flying inside the Jeep. All of the links for everything that we installed are right down below today, which I think are pretty neat. Obviously, we have a ton more to do to the Juice. It's still on stock bumpers, and it's still got a stock engine under the hood. We're gonna fix a lot of these problems here coming soon. However, we've got so much going on. So in other news, our 41, if you guys aren't aware, will be in the Catskin booth at SeaMount Las Vegas. That starts on November 3rd through the 8th, so it's like a Tuesday through the Friday there. We'll be out, we'll be walking around, we're gonna check out a ton of new products for you guys. And then also we added some more products on our website. So Distinction Applied has been working with us forever, so we started to add up some of their covered up line and put it on the website. So So really cool to start adding more to our website and products that we really like and we really support. So thank you guys so much for everything that you guys are doing. Comment down below what's another mod that you think is a crucial one after you lift your Jeep. I know some guys are gonna say actually take it out and actually use it, you know, but what are some mods that make it a lot better to drive on the road, drive off-road? Drop it down below. We'd love to read those comments. Until next time though, my name's Matt, Ryan's behind the camera, and we want you to get out there and earn yours.